Right there. Ooh. That is cleaning that, like. You've done a good job of that.